Hello everyone, welcome to a new installment of Castrejo Talks Archaeology. A while back, I was asked to do a collaboration with a good friend of mine, an all-round awesome person, Red Frog. She asked me to share my views on race, human races more specifically. This video was done some time ago, before I even produced the first video in my Archaeology series, so I am sort of introducing myself there. You will see a preview of what Red Frog's video will have. Even though I made this video, it's only fitting I asked her if I could use it beforehand. Therefore, she didn't mind me using it. Now, I'm going to also reveal my new channel art and intro. Hope you like it. The intro was done by my good friend Jerry Wallington, who kindly made this intro for me. My channel art is still not finalized, as I need to implement some more features, so stay tuned. Now, I'm not going to modify my original video in any way, I'm just going to play it as it is. For anyone that's interested in reading any further, all the sources are in the description. Now, you should all check out Red Frog's channel, as it's awesome. Subscribe to her and follow her on Twitter. The links are in the description as well. Cheerio, and hope you enjoy it. Hello everyone. My name's Carlos Rodriguez and I'm an archaeologist. Before I get started, I'd like to apologize for the quality of the sound. I don't have specific studio equipment that'll enable me to record better sound quality, so I hope you bear with me. To simplify what it means to be an archaeologist, we basically study the rubbish and the bones left behind by our ancestors. And from these artifacts we try to put together our story, the human story, such as how our different cultures developed, how we evolved, and how our behavior influenced our development. Of course, we don't work in isolation. We employ the talents and expertise of various different fields to assist us. Recent events have again pushed to the forefront the concept of race. I'm here to try to explain that the concept of categorizing humans into races is both outdated and inaccurate. I'll explain why, but first, a little bit of history. The concept of race is really quite recent. It was first used around the 16th century, up until the beginning of the 19th century, as an identifying factor of nationhood and ethnic groups. We only began using the term to describe differences between populations that the Europeans encountered from around the mid-19th century onwards. Right from the onset, it has had bigoted undertones. The Europeans, seeing themselves superior due to their technological advantages, looked down on the less developed nations they encountered as inferior. We recognize this because the politicizing of the characterization of the different ethnicities gave rise to the modern concept of racism. Traditionally, race was used as a taxonomical hierarchy below the subspecies, not governed by informal codes of biology. They were genetically defined phenotypical populations of interbreeding individuals of the same species. Now, I'm comfortable in using race to classify domesticated animals because artificial selection has given rise to so many variations of a single species. All our farm animals and our pets, for example. But when it comes to humans, I have a problem with that. You see, the variations that exist between... Now, this is very important, so I'll repeat it. The variation that exists between all the human populations on Earth is less than what you would find between members of a single population. See what I mean? There is more variability between a group of equal ethnic people than there is between all humans on Earth. It has even been put forward that racial classifications of humans could be a social construct, because this nomenclature is not an accurate means to separate the different human populations. Now, let's take away that traditionally races have been classified. If we take skin color, for example, the people only see the extremes between them. We see the black and the white, and some in between. But in reality, skin color occupies a cline which is uninterrupted from light to dark. It's a smooth gradient, and geographically we can observe it going from the equator to the northern hemispheres. In the equator we find the darker tones. The further we go towards the Arctic, for example, the lighter skin tones are found. We can also see that in the Americas, for example. The closer we get to the equator, the darker the skin tone is of the Indians. Skin color wasn't the only method we used to classify humans into races. There's the most controversial of one, which was practiced in the early 20th century, which were trying to establish racial classifications, was cranial measurements or craniometry, skull variations. Even though these were found to yield geographical groups, these groups were still subjective and arbitrary, so they were unreliable and misleading. Practitioners of eugenics and authoritarian regimes like the Nazis, even the Soviets, would often use these in order to discriminate and subjugate their minorities. Genetically, humans have enough of natural variations. In fact, in Africa there is more genetic variations in its population than outside of Africa. Even taking into account the Neanderthal and the Denisovian genes that are not found in the African populations, that are found in the Europeans, the Americans, and in the Southeast Asian, the Pacific, and the Australian populations. We cannot even use ethnic-specific maladies or afflictions like lactose intolerance or sickle cell anemia that are found in some of African populations to warrant a simplistic and inaccurate notion of racial classification. Seeing that there is not enough variations to enable humans to be classified into races, how then should we classify all our differences? Well, I like the term ethnicity or ethnic groups. This term takes into account all the wonderful and enriching variations that our species has. It's not consensual by any means, but I hope it can take over from that tired and old term race. Okay, I hope I clarified this question on human races. I'm sorry for boring everyone to tears, and again I apologize for me stuttering, and I also apologize for the way I delivered my explanation. I'm not used to this. This is my first time doing a scripted video, so I hope you understand and don't be too harsh on me. I want to thank Red Frog for considering me, and everyone should subscribe to this wonderful person. Thank you all. Back to you, Red.